Isn't sports supposed to be for tough guys? At least that's what they say all the time. One thing that spectators fail to see is that actors can have weak moments. Anyone can do it. But when these folks who are portrayed so forcefully cry and break down, it becomes a front-page story in every newspaper. Today we'll talk about those times when you're just too emotional. This is Most Emotional and Heartbreaking Moments in Sports. Number 10. Josh Hamilton in the 2008 Home Run Derby. Josh Hamilton's comeback story is one of the best in sports. The story alone sends shivers down your spine. Back in 2008, however, no one knew if Josh Hamilton was here to stay. After the 2008 Home Run Derby, that changed. In the opening round of the tournament, Hamilton fired 28 bullets throughout Yankee Stadium, receiving the most applause ever given to a Yankee Stadium visitor.
In the place where Lou Gehrig hit him, in the place where Mickey Mantle hit tape measure.
This moment made you feel so fantastic, and anyone witnessing it live would have wept a tear in delight. Number 9. John Starks coughs up the 1994 NBA Finals. In 1994, the New York Knicks were on the verge of snapping a 21-year title drought. And believe me when I say that to New York sports fans, that's an eternity. They faced the Hakeem Olajuwon-led Rockets in a contest of 7 in the 1994 NBA Finals, which was going to be a terrific game. It was, but it went the wrong way for the Knicks, and John Starks is the cause. Starks, who was otherwise idolized by New York sports fans, failed to deliver the results the Knicks had grown to anticipate. That night, he was historically poor, and it cost the Knicks the championship. He went 2 for 18 from the field that night and continued to shoot despite the fact that he didn't have his shot. Knicks supporters still cry when they think about it. This was by far the Knicks' greatest shot at a championship since 1973, and the way things are going, this historically horrible night for John Starks may only get worse for Knicks fans. Number 8. Jesse Owens debunks the Aryan myth. It was widely believed that the Aryans were superior to everyone else in 1936, when Hitler ruled the world and dinosaurs roamed the earth. This was just getting more momentum as the 1936 Olympics approached. Jesse Owens, who was, of course, African American, went on to dominate these Olympics. It's difficult for us to grasp this now because we have iPads and laptops, but back then, this was a huge deal. You either sobbed dreadful Nazi tears or happy tears like everyone else on the planet. This was a unique occasion in sports history. Number 7. Michael Jordan hits the series-clinching shot in the 1998 NBA Finals. Everyone knew that Michael Jordan's final NBA season would come in 1998. Nobody knew how he'd conclude his career, though. But one thing was certain, he still had it. The Bulls were behind 86-85 to the Utah Jazz as the game clock approached 20 seconds. Then, Michael Jordan did what he'd done throughout his career. He robbed Karl Malone. Malone appeared to be on his way to making it a 3-point game with a post move, but MJ rushed around the corner and grabbed the ball from him. The time continued to tick, tick, tick down, smaller and smaller as he methodically dribbled the ball down the court. 12, 11, 10, and suddenly he took off.
Providing us with one lasting memory.
17 seconds from championship number.
He rushed for Byron Russell outside, seemingly certain to drive to the hoop, until he cut back on the most flawless crossover I'd ever seen, stepped back, and launched a fadeaway jumper that has since become legendary. It was incredible. It was Jordan's final shot, at least at the time, and everyone was aware of it. Let's just pretend those years in Washington didn't exist. Michael Jordan was a living icon, and the manner he finished his career was just how everyone had hoped. It was incredible. Number 6. Rangers 1994 Stanley Cup celebration. The Rangers had been without a championship for 54 years when they won it in 1994. Keep in mind that these Rangers were playing in New York, equating to a 254-year drought. Sure enough, the Rangers stunned the world with the addition of Mark Messier and, surprise, Stefan Matzow. The Rangers enjoyed an emotional moment with the Madison Square Garden audience. Which had never been as raucous as it was that night, when the wait was finally over. Number 5. fourth and forever. Eagles versus Packers 2004 NFC Divisional Playoff game. The 4th-seeded Packers defeated the top-seeded Eagles in the 2004 NFC Divisional Playoff round. The Eagles faced a 4th and 26 on their own 26-yard line with 1 minute and 16 seconds left in the game.
A few plays ago. Split right down the middle, the total yardage for Green Bay.
The Packers had no chance of allowing them to convert a 4th and 26 situation. It's impossible, wasn't it? For the conversion, Donovan McNabb found a wide-open Freddie Mitchell over the middle. Let me tell you, as a Packer fan, I cried. Number 4. Ernie Davis dies of leukemia weeks after being drafted. In 1959, Ernie Davis took over as the Syracuse Orangemen's running back after Jim Brown retired, and he became the first African-American to win the Heisman Trophy. Davis, who was coached by Jim Brown, was expected to outperform him. The Washington Redskins selected him first overall in the 1962 NFL Draft, but he was promptly moved to the Cleveland Browns, who were drooling over the prospect of a Brown-Davis tandem. Davis's career, however, was cut short when he was stricken with leukemia just weeks after being picked, and he died of the cancer before ever appearing in an NFL game. Davis was also the subject of the film The Express, which was released in 2008. Number 3. Luis Gonzalez ends the Yankees dynasty in a bloop. The year was 2001, and the Yankees had won 4 of the previous 5 World Series. They appeared almost unbeatable, and the fact that Arizona brought them to 7 games astounded most people. It was all over when the Yankees took the lead in the 8th inning. The game would be finished when Mariano Rivera came in for the 2-inning save. In the playoffs, no one was able to score on Mo. That was a proven fact. He was impregnable, except on one crisp night in 2001 when he wasn't. In the bottom of the 9th inning, he did something that no one predicted. He blew the game.
Oh, what a play! And he goes into the dugout. Can he hold on?
Luis Gonzalez's game-winning bloop single highlighted a 2-run 9th inning for him. Yankee fans wept in sadness knowing that their dynasty had come to an end, while the rest of the world wept with joy, knowing that finally someone had beaten those darned Yankees. Number 2. Jason McElwain scores 20 points. Jason McElwain, who was diagnosed with autism, was a basketball fanatic. Throughout the season, he had assisted his high school team in practices until he received his own, and he got it big time. McElwain received a standing ovation as soon as he stepped onto the court, and he could have sat out the rest of the game. McElwain, on the other hand, continued to shoot and shoot and shoot, and he continued to hit and hit and hit.
Well, yeah, in those last 4 minutes, he was the only one that shot. So, in fact, they kid him that...
That night, he scored over 20 points, and he had to be carried off the court. Number 1. Len Bias dies after being drafted. The Boston Celtics had reached the NBA Finals in each of the previous 4 seasons when the 1986 NBA Draft took place. After losing the championships in 1986, the Celtics traded up in the draft to get Len Bias, the 2nd overall pick.
I think I need to improve more on my ball handling and my all-around play, but I think vastly I need to improve on my ball handling.
Bias was intended to bring the Celtics back to NBA glory, but he died of a cocaine overdose before ever playing an NBA game, so his career never got off the ground. The Celtics were cursed by Bias, and they did not return to the finals until 2008. With that, we would like to conclude, but we'd love to know what you think about these sports emotional moments. Let us know in the comments below.